Folks, Jumbo means hello here in Harambe. Good afternoon, welcome aboard. This is Kilimanjaro Safaris. My name is Clay, I'm your game driver for your photo safari through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Game spotting guides, we put them overhead. There's 5 of them up there. Use them to identify any animals you see. Part of my job will be to help you spot those animals. You can take all the photos you want. Use the wrist strap or neck strap that came with your camera, because I can't get out of the truck, neither can you. So we will not be able to stop and pick up anything that falls overboard. Should you drop something of significant value, we will make every attempt to get it back to you by the end of business today. But there's a good chance it won't look like it did before you dropped it. The animals are roaming freely. They could be on either side of the road. Sometimes they're in the road. That's always fun. They will appear and they will disappear at a moment's notice, so don't wait for the perfect picture. You will end up missing your photo opportunity. That's Will in front of us. I don't know who that is behind us. I can't see that well. We're just waiting for our turn to head into the reserve. We'll start this adventure in an area of Harambe Reserve that's named the Little Ituri Forest. This is equatorial rainforest. If you look around, you see a low canopy that's made up mostly of bamboo, and there are some pretty thick underbrush. The animals that live in the rainforest are very well adapted for survival. They blend into their surroundings easily. Most of them have stripes on their bodies. And it makes it pretty tough for predators like us to see them, so we will have to look pretty carefully. Harambe Reserve is now participating with most of the reserves here in central and southern Kenya, with several international conservation organizations, including the Disney Conservation Fund. Their goal is to educate the local population and protect the animals that you will see today. Twende in Swahili means let's go. Who's home today? Oh, that's an okapi on the woods to your right, up on the hill. The okapi are reclusive and they are very shy. Matter of fact, they weren't identified in the wild by Western man until 1901. The stripes on the legs and hindquarters, that's how they see each other when they're running through the dense dark rainforest. Otherwise, it acts as camouflage. They are not related to the zebra. Now, look at the long neck, the elongated jaw. You're looking at the only relative of the giraffe. If you'd like to learn more about the okapi, there is an observation blind on the walkway in Pangani Forest. Head there after your safari, spend as much time there as you like. There's a researcher to answer your questions. Watering hole to your left looks pretty quiet. That's normal for this time of the day. Most of the animals were here at sunrise. They drink, they take refuge in the woods, and some of them won't be back now until the sun goes down. You are quite fortunate. There's a black rhinoceros taking a snooze over here in the cliffs. Black rhino are extremely rare. There are fewer than 5,000 of them left on this planet, including the ones in protected reserves. He's got a narrow jaw with a pointed hook-like upper lip. Kind of small by rhino standards, about 2,800 pounds. He lives in the woods, eats the leaves off the bushes and trees. You see his ears move. He can't see us from there. Rhinos have notoriously bad eyesight, so they depend on hearing and smell to warn of danger. He could hear us and smell us, he just couldn't see us. There's 2 antelope on the ridge to your right. The rust-colored animal is the bongo. The lighter tan animal is the greater kudu. The bongo are pretty well concealed. They've got horns that taper as they go back over their head. These are females from the greater kudu herd. They don't grow horns. Only the boys carry the horns in the kudu herd. Look at those ears. How you doing, sweetheart? Put your ears up so we can see them? No, I guess not. The greater kudu, when they're done growing, they'll weigh about 400 pounds each, and they're probably as close to a North American deer as you'll find here in East Africa. Right now we're headed towards Safi River to see if we can find some hippopotamus. Hippopotamus is Greek. In English, river horse. Hippos are nocturnal. Yeah, they sleep most of the day in the river. The river water supports their weight, moderates their body temperature, protects them from sunburn. Unfortunately, hippos can hold their breath for about 8 minutes at a time, so they may not come up as we go by. Here's one sleeping. If you look carefully, you see the eyes, the ears, the nose are all up on top of his head. He's almost completely submerged, but he can still breathe and smell and see and hear. You want to get ready to look left, we're going to ford the river. There's a lot more river around the corner. There we go. Hippopotamus are gregarious and social. Groups of them are referred to as a bloat or a herd. They find safety and comfort in numbers, which is true of most of the animals out here. Most of them are hiding behind the island. There's one completely submerged down here by the tip of the island. Now, these are pink-backed pelicans. They're just sharing food right now. The pink-backed pelicans, when they are mating, they'll show a pink stripe down their back. They've nested here for about 10 years. No active nests at the moment, but there have been lots of little babies born on that island. There's a good chance that those hippos are asleep right now. When you see them stationary and submerged, the researchers here are convinced they sleep underwater. We have not been able to prove it. The hippos have refused to participate in the survey. We're going to cross Sericali Creek. This is shallow, slow-moving water. And that's a Nile crocodile down there. Here's another one. Nile crocodiles are bigger than American alligators. They're in the water directly beneath the bridge. Put the little girl down. Nobody stands up on the truck, folks. Please do not reenact the Lion King. This guy is probably about 14 feet long. He weighs about 1,200 pounds. He has a very slow metabolism, so he's going to save his energy and rest. He's perfectly camouflaged to blend into his surroundings. He pretends to be a rock and waits for some unsuspecting animal to come by for a drink, and then watch out. Crocodile jaws can crush bone. He can snap that jaw shut and generate more than 2,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. Just be careful. They get a hold of you, they're not likely to let go. Good news is they don't eat a lot in the winter. They eat mostly in the summer. They depend on the sun to warm their body. That heat also helps them digest their food, so they don't eat a lot in the winter. They can't afford to get caught with a full stomach in cold weather because the food will spoil and the bacteria might kill them. Those are the grasslands of East Africa. They extend north and south for hundreds of miles, much further than you and I can see. It is a very different ecosystem than the woods we were just in. All different animals out here. The gray animals out in the distance, those are wildebeest. The red color guy with the roan color guy with the big horns, that's an Ankole cow. There's an eland straight ahead in the bushes at the bottom of the hill. Tan with straight horns. The eland is the largest antelope out here. This is one of the girls. If you were to stand next to her, she got her back to us right now, but she's almost 5 feet tall at the shoulder. She weighs about 850 pounds. And yet, remarkably, that eland can jump 6 to 8 feet vertically. So she is capable of jumping in the truck. Not likely to try. I've never seen it happen. The eland is a herbivore. It eats leaves and grass. They don't eat people. If the eland jumped into the truck, it'd just be curiosity. She'd probably sniff you and slobber on you and jump down. She's so much bigger than most of the animals out here. Nobody messes with her. She's got a pretty good disposition. We're going to wind our way through these trees, and then we'll head east into the grassland. The cone-shaped structures in front of us and over to the right, these are subterranean termite mounds. They're made of excavated earth, brought up from the colony below by the termites, formed into these mounds, baked by the African sun. They're hard as concrete. There's a short one here on the right. You'll see the opening on top of it. This is a very elaborate ventilating system. There's lots of little tunnels running through these mounds, and that's how the fresh air circulates into the colony. So you see the opening on top. Now look at the one that's falling apart. See all the little tunnels? Yeah. Ground here gets pretty hot in the summer. Termites weren't able to cool off the colony. They might not be able to live here. Now, the termites, subterraneans, they don't like sunshine. They won't come out during the day. They come out at night. That's when they start breaking the wood down. They carry bits of it back to the colony, and they'll spend the day digesting it as food. Sorry? Keep the giraffes from eating the bark. There you go. They've already, if you look at the trees, there's no low branches because the giraffes ate them all. And they would peel the bark off the tree. They've got very muscular tongues. So the reserve decided that it was more important to protect these trees as a haven and shelter for all the animals than just as a couple of quick meals for the giraffes. So They spend about 30 days wrapping these trees. Of course, every 5 or 6 years they got to come out and take all the mesh down. The trees, you know, they get thicker as they get older. So this is job security for somebody, but so far it's been pretty effective. The big horns, those are the Ancoli cows. They are domesticated. They are the only domesticated animal that you will see out here, and they live side by side with the wild animals. Domesticated by the Watusi tribe some 2,500 years ago. Some people call them Watusi cows. To the Watusi, these cows are considered property, symbols of affluence and wealth, and they breed them, and then they trade them, and that's how they improve their social standing. The male on the right, the female on the left, the horn length is about the same, but you'll notice that his horns are thicker than hers. And if you're a cow, the horns are not particularly heavy. No, there's some blood vessels in those horns. There's a little honeycomb for strength. Other than that, they're just full of air. And if you're a cow, it's like walking around with a heat pump on top of your head. In the winter, they stand in the sun, and they absorb heat through those horns, and after a cold night, that feels pretty good. In the summer, they'll stand in the shade. They force blood through the vessels, and they dissipate heat through the horns, and that's how they maintain a nice steady body temperature. This is a game we play every single day. This is the female right along the road. This is how close can we get without hitting the horns. She knows exactly where those horns are. She has a tremendous perception, and she never runs into anything. Behind her, those are wildebeest. They're grazing. They'll migrate in the dry season, but not now. And then farther up on the hill, the little guy with the stripe down his side, that's a springbok. Springbok only weigh about 80 pounds. This little guy, when he runs, he can jump 10 to 12 feet in every bound. I think Mama's having a bad hair day today. See how close we can get. How you doing, Mama? Are you being a good girl? Of course not. That'd be way too much fun. All right, baby. We'll see you later. Please sit down. Yep, we play that game just about every day. There's a giraffe in the palm trees up here on the left. Looks like a Maasai giraffe. They are pretty rare. One of the rarest of the subspecies. This is one of the girls. About 12 feet tall, probably 1,200 pounds. Stripe pattern, very irregular and disorganized. Up on the hill, there's the big guy. That's the male. The male is farther up the hill. He's much bigger than the girls. See, there's no rhyme or reason to these stripes. Very irregular. The colors are muted. How you doing, darling? She spends most of her day feeding. She's a ruminant, has a 4-compartment stomach, so she chews almost continuously. You'll never find two of them that look the same. There's another one up the hill. Stripe patterns on giraffe are just like stripe patterns on zebras, which are just like fingerprints on humans, and they're all unique. Big rock formation in front of us. We call this Monkey Point. Nicknamed by the other drivers. The mandrill monkeys come here looking for food. I don't know if they're here or not. We'll have a look as we go by. Your game guide shows you a picture of the alpha male. He's 3 times the size of a female. He weighs almost 100 pounds, and he is the only one with a blue butt and a red muzzle. Most of the mandrills are going to be dark gray. They're only going to be 25 or 30 pounds, and they'll have a little white around their head. They are very, very intelligent. They don't sit still for long. They're too smart for that. They come here, they fill their cheek pouches full of food, then they go hide in the bushes. There's a couple of them down here in the bushes. In the bushes, they can eat undisturbed because nobody can see them. So nobody's going to steal their food from them. Here's the big guy up on top of the hill. See the blue butt? There's the red muzzle. Look at how much bigger he is than the others. There's the alpha male. He is not related to Rafiki. No, everybody thinks he is, but he's not. The Disney animators took some liberties with Rafiki. Here's one of the girls. They gave him a very long tail. He has the ability to speak. He's a very distant second cousin. There's an elephant in the rocks to your right. The bull elephant is standing in the road. He got kicked out of the herd by his mother when he reached maturity, and he will spend most of his adult life alone. He's almost the same size as this truck, so unless he moves, there's no way around him. We're going to have to take the scenic route. He's about 3,000 pounds bigger than a female. You can just catch a glimpse of him up in there. He's a powerful animal. He can become very, very aggressive. He can't be trusted with the calves. He'll hurt him if he plays with them. So that's why his mama kicked him out. Pretty solitary life for a bull elephant. Has a good relationship with the other males. He hangs out with them on the weekends. He knows where the herd is. He follows the girls, but since the matriarch, the leader of the herd, is the matchmaker, he doesn't get too close unless she gives him the okay. So we're going to sneak around him and head for the river and see if we can catch up with the herd. We know now the herd is females and they're calves. What you may not realize is that there have been 6 births in this herd over the last 12 years. I want you to hold on. This bridge is very, very old, and it's a little bit wobbly. It's a great shortcut. We just have to be careful. These are locust trees. They're almost ripe. Whoa, what is that? Oh, no, that's the bridge. We got to get out of here. Wow, that was close. Everybody all right back there? Holy cow, we're not going back that way. Now, this is red clay. The elephants eat this stuff. It's a mineral supplement for their mostly vegetation diet. You can see the footprints. They lead right to the tusk marks. Red clay, soft and chewy. It's got iron in it. More importantly, it's full of sodium. There's lots of trace minerals. And if you're an elephant, here's an elephant. It's like eating a Flintstones vitamin. The matriarch brings them in here about every 10 days. The elephants are going to look dirty. They have very sensitive skin. They don't like to get sunburned. And their mothers teach them when they're very young how to throw dirt on their back. They pick up their dirt with their trunk, and their aim is amazing. It'll be an inch thick by the end of the day, but they will not get sunburned. That is the west end of an eastbound elephant. You can see the discoloration. Sometimes they get wet because the dirt sticks better when you're wet. Now, you may say 6 births in 12 years is no big deal. But you have to remember, elephant gestation is 647 days. So it takes mama elephant just under 22 months to deliver 1 calf. When they're born, these calves weigh 200 to 300 pounds. Twins are pretty rare. But they stay with their mothers until they reach maturity in their early teens. And they can live to be more than 60 years old. Believe it or not, this is one of the older calves. She's all legs right now. I would guess she's probably 8 or 9 years old. The younger one in the background. These calves will enjoy what we believe is the second longest childhood in the animal kingdom. Somewhere between 11 and 13 years. It appears now that only a human has a longer childhood than an elephant. This is the matriarch. Looks like she's headed for the watering hole. We'll try to meet her down there. The matriarch is the oldest female with the most knowledge. She is the leader of the herd. We recognize her by her crooked tusks. And here she is. How you doing, sweetheart? There she is. She's the leader. She understands the drought patterns. She knows where the food and water is year-round. And she knows how to avoid predators. Her knowledge is essential to the herd survival. She's killed by a poacher for that ivory. All of her knowledge is lost. There is no other member of the herd that can take her place. The herd will disintegrate. Many of the individual animals won't be able to live on their own. This is the greater flamingo. It's the tallest of the African flamingo species. They are very pale. What little pink they have is concealed under their top feathers. Unless they spread their wings, you won't get a very good look at it. The island's crowded, it's disorganized. The birds love it that way. They find safety and comfort in numbers. That's true of a lot of the animals out here. Although the flamingos get on each other's nerves, they fight all the time, but the good news is they don't last long. The fights consist of biting each other a couple times and then they go in different directions. They eat a diet of various forms of algae and krill and brine shrimp. It's a diet rich in beta-carotene to bring out their coloring. Those are white rhinoceros to your left. The white rhino is the larger of the 2 African rhino species. They weigh more than 4,000 pounds each. And if you look carefully, you'll notice that they're not white, they're actually gray. That's a bantabuck off to the right. No, these guys are named not for the color of their skin, but instead they're named for the shape of their mouth. They have a broad, flat lower lip, eat like a cow. The Afrikaans word for wide is V-I-T-E. It's pronounced vite. It's been mistranslated all these years. We should call them the wide rhinos. They're facing different directions because they've got terrible eyesight and they don't want anybody sneaking up on them. Watch the ears. See, she can hear me. We're no threat to her. She's going to ignore us. They roll in the mud to cool off. When the mud dries, it protects them from sunburn and insect bites. They are a tremendous conservation success story. They were nearly extinct 100 years ago. In the shelter up on the hill, if you look real carefully, there's a cheetah sitting in there. Very difficult to see, golden brown. We're going to keep moving along the ridge and see if we can spot any more of them. Cheetahs, by big cat standards, are pretty small, 100, 120 pounds. Built for speed, capable of sprinting over 60 miles an hour. Here's another one. But they can only maintain maximum acceleration for about 300 yards. Their bodies will overheat. There's 2 of them up there, and they'll have to slow down to cool off and catch their breath. Just to the right of that multi-branch tree, you can see them sitting in there. Golden brown, dark spots. They will hunt during the day, but they usually hunt solo. Very good eyesight. And the experienced cheetah has learned not to waste energy chasing the bigger animals. They'll be patient, they'll be waiting for the gazelles and the warthogs. Well, there he is, the king of the beasts, the supreme hunter of the African plain. That is a male lion. You should not expect him to be very active because he was up all night. He does most of his hunting and feeding after dark up on top of the rocks. His eyesight at night is about 6 times more acute than the human eye. Look down below him. One of the girls is in the rock. See her feet sticking out? There's one of the girls down below him.
Yep.
Now, they've got a full stomach. They're not hungry. They're just tired, so they climb so nobody can sneak up on them. And they will rest 18 to 20 hours out of every single day. At maturity, he will weigh more than 500 pounds. He is the leader and the protector of the pride, but it is the girls that do most of the hunting. The girls weigh closer to 300 pounds. They hunt cooperatively. They're one of the few species that'll do it. There's an ostrich to your right. There's that bontebuck again. We'll get a better look at the zebra once we get around these rocks. The girls hunt cooperatively. The isolated wildebeest or zebra, they feed the whole pride. The male will hunt, but only if he has to. He'd much rather let the girls do it for him. He eats first, the cubs eat second, and the girls get the leftovers, which makes no sense unless you're a lion. As long as he doesn't roll over, he'll be all right. Look at the size of his feet. They are massive. These look like, oh, there they are. There's the warthogs under the tree. This is the largest burrowing mammal. They're not going to stray very far from home. They sense danger, they'll round up their family, push them in the burrow, and they back in. They use their tusks to protect their family. They got stuck with the name Pumbaa after the Disney movie. Pumbaa is Swahili. It means silly or foolish, and they're neither. Here's the zebra to your right. The ostrich is the largest flightless bird. The little brown and white guy is a bontebuck. His name in English means white-rumped buck, and there it is. They're extinct on their native range. They live only in protected reserves. The Grant zebra, short legs, wide stripes, pretty common plains. The zebra is the lion's favorite food. Lions have to be careful. Zebra hooves are heavy. And they're great kickers. They'll break a lion's jaw with a single kick. A lion with a broken jaw, not going to last long out here. The zebra sense danger. They bunch together. Their stripes blend. Lions and the leopards will get confused. They can't tell the head from the tail or one from the other, so they slow down, and that's when the zebras run away. It works every time. This area, this is Magadi Glen, is used in species survival research. The animal in front of us would normally be found in the Sahara Desert regions up north, countries of Niger and Chad. This is the Adax. The Adax have their winter coat on. They turn beige in the winter. The darker coat absorbs heat from the sun to help them stay warm. In the summer, these guys are going to turn bright white. The white reflects the sunlight, and that's how they stay cool. They have some very unique abilities. They can raise and lower their body temperature to deal with the temperature fluctuations in the desert, and they'll live most of their adult life without drinking any fresh water, getting the fluid they need from the morning dew and the roots of the grasses they chew on. These are yellow-billed storks on the right. Carnivorous, kind of sinister looking. They eat frogs, rodents, and small fish they find at the watering hole. The Adax are hunted for their horns. That's not their biggest problem. No, the human population in North Africa is expanding very rapidly, pushing most of these animals into smaller and smaller pockets. It's been estimated recently that the wild population of the Adax is under 300 animals. There's probably no more than 1,500 of them left on the planet. We're doing what we can to minimize conflict between any of these animals and man, but to succeed, we're going to have to learn a lot more about them, understand their needs and habits. It's the only way we'll be able to provide for them in a smaller environment. Here in Harambe, we're studying elephant vocalization. Those elephants talk to each other. Oh yeah, they do. They trumpet warnings when they're angry or scared, but otherwise they rumble. Elephant rumbling, it's subsonic, we can't hear it. But the researchers did figure out a way to record it. Following the herd, taking detailed notes, listening to the recordings, they have figured out that elephants are afraid of bees. As a matter of fact, the reserve is providing beehives to the local farmers. The elephants won't go near them, so they plant them, they put them right along their crops. The crops reach maturity, they go to market, the farmer sells the honey, and the elephant eats elsewhere. It's a much less invasive process and it minimizes the conflict. This is the Warden Post. I'm going to drop you off here. You're just outside the village. Hope you enjoyed your safari. I invite you to come again soon. You'll see something different on every trip. Kwaherini, folks, go well. Asante Sana. Thanks for choosing Kilimanjaro. Watch your fingers. Hillary's going to open the doors for you. We made it.